The main character is Joe. He worked as a music teacher at the school. One day the principal of the school came into Joe's office and told him the good news. Joe can now work full-time. Joe's mom was very happy about this opportunity and insisted that he take this job, but Joe did not want it at all. He always dreamed of playing jazz. On the same day his old student called him and offered to play in Joe's favorite band. And in a short time Joe was already sitting in rehearsal before the performance. Joe was completely immersed in the music. That's why the whole group liked him. On the way home he got very carried away talking on the phone and did not notice the hatch under his feet. Joe died and went to the next world. The main character is absolutely not ready to die. He wasn't ready because he hadn't fulfilled his dream yet. He tried to escape, but it didn't work out and he ends up in the world of souls. The place where personalities are formed and get to Earth through a special portal. Joe tried to jump into it, but it didn't work out and he was thrown back into the world of souls. It turned out that Joe had not died yet but was in a coma. And he faces a choice. Either become a mentor or die to the end, and Joe agrees to become a mentor. Meanwhile, one soul was missing in the world of the dead. That missing soul was Joe. Meanwhile, a mentor seminar is taking place in the world of souls, which Joe attended. At the seminar, mentors were told about the spark that they will have to find together with their wards. Joe decided that he would help the student find the spark, pick it up, and return to Earth. That's why he was looking forward to meeting his ward with special enthusiasm. He just didn't know what was ahead of him. But he got number 22, who already had 1,000 mentors, but none of them could find her spark. Number 22 had a terrible opinion of both people and the planet to which she should be sent after she put on her spark. He told 22 about his life and realized that this was not the life that was in his memory. He realized that there was absolutely no meaning in his life. He arranged with number 22 that she would give him her pass into life after they found the spark. They both won because Joe wanted to land and 22 didn't. Joe and 22 are not our spark, and Jerry decided to send Joe's mentor back, but number 22 decided to help and said that they had not passed all the professions yet and they left. 22 turns to his friend, a living person, for help. It turns out that there is a connection between the world of the living and the world after death, the astral. A person goes there in moments of inspiration. A friend of number 22 admitted that he had never returned a restless soul to the world of the living but decided to try. Joe had to imagine the place where his body was and then he could come back. He succeeded, but Joe hurried and accidentally took number 22 with him to Earth. Because of this, number 22 inhabits Joe's body and Joe's soul into the cat. Joe did not immediately realize that his soul had moved into the cat, but when he realized it, he was terrified. Joe and number 22 decided to escape, but there was a small problem. Number 22 couldn't control Joe's body, or rather his legs. Number 22 was very unusual in a loud city, but she was able to recover very quickly and continue on her way. Joe was able to lure 22 out with a slice of pizza and she went on. Joe and number 22 decided to find the person who sent them to Earth and ask for help. It didn't take long, and 2 minutes later they were listening about how to switch souls back. They agreed to meet at 7 o'clock when the Earth comes into contact with the astral world. And so Joe and number 22 are trying to catch a taxi and they get out after a while. But Joe was in for an unpleasant surprise. There was a band in the taxi that he was supposed to perform with. Joe and 22 quickly got into a taxi and drove home. They're finally home. And then Joe gets a call. Joe, in the body of a cat, dropped the phone, but after a while he received a voice message. His student said that the group in which he should oppose him playing the piano to them, as they did not see him in the best possible way. But there was still a chance to perform. To do this he must look very good and come early so that he can be begged to take him back. Meanwhile, his student knocked on Joe's door and said she wanted to quit playing the trombone. Number 22 and student Joe had a lot in common. Number 22 was able to dissuade her from giving up playing the trombone because the student liked it and because it's a job she likes. Number 22 decided to find a life's work too. Joe said he would help her, but in return she had to get dressed and come to the band with which Joe performs. Meanwhile, the soul that escaped was found in the world of souls. And that soul was Joe. Tags decided to come down to Earth and return Joe's soul. Mentors warned Tags that you need to do everything carefully so that no one sees or hears her. Joe, in the body of a cat, decided to cut Joe's hair, but he failed and number 22 went to the barber shop. Number 22 talked to the hairdresser about his life, and it turned out that Joe had never been interested in his friend's life but had always been fixated only on himself and jazz. Tags at this time had already tracked down Joe, or rather 22, in Joe's body. She didn't even know about it. Tags accidentally took the soul of not Joe but immediately returned it back. On the way home, number 22 tore his pants and they had to go to Joe's mom. Joe didn't want this at all because mom doesn't approve of his hobby jazz. And he does not know that he is more likely to play in his quartet. Mom thought that a musician was not a profession. But number 22 was able to convince her. Joe's mom was so moved that she gave him his father's costume for his performance. 22 and Joe had already arrived at the place where they were supposed to exchange souls, but 22 suddenly realized that she did not want to return to the world of souls. She wants to find a spark here on Earth. But Joe didn't want to understand her and she decided to run away. Joe quickly ran after 22 and suddenly a portal formed in their path. Joe's soul and 22's soul returned to the world of souls. It turned out that 22 had found her spark and now she had a pass to Earth and Joe had to return to that world. Joe blamed 22 for not being her spark. He thought she had gained a spark because she lived in his body. 22 handed over the badge and left and Joe went to Earth. He was able to persuade the quartet to take him back. He was given a chance and he took it. They played the performance very beautifully and the audience was very pleased, but for some reason Joe did not feel happy. He realized that he had been going to this day for many years, but he did not feel anything. He was accepted into the quartet and his mother was very proud, but the feeling of emptiness did not let go of Joe. When Joe came home after the performance, he began sorting through the things that number 22 had left. And suddenly it dawned on him. Number 22 got her spark not because she lived in his body but because she just loved living. Joe decided to go astral by playing the piano and found out that 22 had become a lost soul. 22 tried to run away from Joe all over the world. He was able to catch up with her and get inside her mind. By getting close to her, he was able to remind her of her spark. He explained that it is not important to be born with a gift, you will start living and the circle will fill itself. He returned her pass and flew to escort her to the ground. Then he opens his eyes and realizes that he is going to that world. One of the mentors of souls called him and said that they were giving him one last chance and he could go to Earth. One of the mentors distracted Tags and Joe was able to safely return to Earth. He has not yet decided how he will live this life, but he knows for sure that he will live every moment of it in full.